Merry Christmas, chat. It is December 23rd, and for Christmas, Ubisoft has given us the gift that nobody asked for. They gave us Blackbeard, an operator that is broken the game and has been overpowered since it's been reworked. But I've noticed that a lot of you aren't playing this operator very well. In fact, the win rate for Blackbeard through the first couple days of pro play or tier 2 amateur play when he got released was abysmal. It was like 20% or something for Blackbeard win rate. So today, I want to go through a couple of important match replay files where we're going to take a look at some of the best Blackbeard plays that tier 2 and tier 1 players have brought out since the update, since Blackbeard got reworked, and hopefully along the way, we'll learn about the proper ways to play Blackbeard so that you can start dominating in ranked and we won't have to watch any more awful Blackbeard players. All right, chat, I want to show you Outlast versus TSG. This was one of the earlier games inside of Element 4 this season, and this is round 10. This is an attacking round coming out from Outlast. It's a close game. We're late into the match. It is 5-4 favoring TSG, but Outlast want to make a splash, so they're going to be bringing Blackbeard. And although Vipoa, who's sticking to Blackbeard in this round, doesn't have the greatest games going into this, he's only 3-7, he's going to put up what I think might be the cleanest, just most textbook good Blackbeard play in all of Element 4 so far. At the start, chat, we can see that we're going for a CC clear, a typical standard play on border for the top floor, and they've got a great drone set up by Vipoa, the Blackbeard main himself. One thing I want to notice with this, a lot of the times what Blackbeard players will do, and I think the biggest #1 mistake Blackbeard players make, is they're going to bring down this face shield way too often or way too early. The two big weaknesses Blackbeard has as an operator are that #1, his shield doesn't actually cover that much of his face. If you can get any kind of a side angle on Blackbeard, you're very likely to get a headshot. So it's going to be really important for Vipoa in this game to make sure he's always facing his enemies head on so that he cannot be caught from a side headshot. That's really important. The second biggest weakness for Blackbeard is if he's staring at you, it actually takes quite a bit of time for him to pull out the gun and bring down the shield. So if you're aiming at him and you're staring at the Blackbeard and he brings the shield down, you can almost guaranteed headshot him first before he gets a chance to shoot you. And those are two mistakes, two weaknesses that Vipoa isn't going to make through this entire round. Now, he does get flashed by his teammate, but it's okay because he gets in, takes a bit of damage, but not enough to die, and he gets into a safe position where he can eventually force him out and take that space. Notably, through the entire time that he ran through here, he did not take down his shield. He's basically playing it just like a blitz, but he's got his teammates' flashes instead of his own. So it's a little bit of a workaround. But in the end of the day, Vipoa gets that space. He loses a bit of HP, but he never gets headshot, and they now have the map control on the side of Outlast. Now we enter the situation which really concerns Blackbeard's secondary gadgets. On most operators in Rainbow Six Siege, frag grenades are kind of bad. They are hard to get kills with. They will often get caught by Jaeger and Wamais, especially with the flashbang nerf. It's often hard to get frag grenades. And we haven't really seen a lot of frag usage ever since they nerfed frags going from down below. Since you can't cook nades anymore, frags have seemingly been kind of bad. And I think Ubisoft gave frags to Blackbeard to try to nerf him, right? He's got frag grenades and claymores. But the problem is that frag grenades on Blackbeard are actually fucking busted. They're so strong, and Vipoa shows us exactly why. He knows that there's a player back behind half wall here. The key thing for Blackbeard, and what no other shield can do because no other shield has frag grenades, is he can toss these nades without exposing himself. He doesn't have to showcase any of his body to throw those frag grenades. And what that means is he can throw them very, very safely while just staring at Joe. And even if Joe is aware that those frag grenades are coming, think about what Joe's options are. Joe can stand up and try to shoot the Blackbeard, but again, Blackbeard doesn't expose himself, so he won't take any damage from that. Joe can try to run away, but if the Blackbeard sees that, then Blackbeard's just going to pull out his gun, shoot him in the back as he starts running away. Or Joe can take a third option, which ends up being exactly what Joe does here. Joe stands still and he dies to the nade. Throughout that whole time, Vipoa, he's waiting and watching to see if the Valkyrie player sprints away. And had that happen, he could have pulled out his gun and gotten that kill, but he didn't need to. A clean use of the frag grenade that a lot of top Blackbeard players are using right now. Then the push really starts to get underway inside the execute. More nades are being used to force players back. That nade doesn't get a kill, but his teammates are finding great success. Again, the only time he actually pulls out his gun, we're at 52 seconds, this is the first time his gun has come out, is when nobody's looking at him. He sees the back of a player. He doesn't want to take a fair gunfight. He doesn't want to go head-to-head with somebody. He's only pulling out his gun when he knows he's got a free pick and he's not being shot at himself. His teammate ends up getting the kill, and even in the 4v1, it's very disciplined Blackbeard play. A lot of bad Blackbeard players at this point would pull out their gun, try to take the 1v1. But Nylek is staring at this guy. Nylek, amongst other angles, is looking for the pick onto the Blackbeard, but Blackbeard's giving him nothing. Couple of shoulder angles, might take one bullet of damage, but he's never exposing his head. He closes in on the gap, making sure to buy his time, and then once Doc gets close enough, he sees his moment, and he strikes. Clean Blackbeard play from start to finish. Notice how he never pulls out that gun. It's a perfect Blackbeard round from Vipoa, where he makes pretty much no mistakes. The next round I want to show you, chat, is on the exact same bomb site with the exact same defending team. Again, late in the match, it's 5-5, but it's a different attacking team this time. Now we're seeing Fluffy Aimers versus TSG, and this time it's Resighted, who's picked up the Blackbeard, who's going to go for another great push. This time as well, we're pushing from a different angle. Instead of going in through CC and then going in through lockers for a plant, this time the job is to take control of open area. Again, pay attention to not only when Resighted is pulling out his gun, but also how he's using those frag grenades, because it ends up being super important in this game. Now to start off, there's a pretty strong setup here inside of open area. It's a double mirror window setup. Don't mind the fact that it looks like they're both broken. That's just a match replay bug. Both mirror windows are fully intact. Set up inside of open, and you've got a three-way crossfire. You've got Rival, who's deep inside of open area. You've got Joe, who is able to play the second mirror window, and then you've got players inside of fountains that can hold a third cross. Both Nylek and BJL will be able to move back into this area to try to play this three-way crossfire. So this is absolute hell for the attackers to try to deal with, and the players here that are going to be trying to work against this are, of course, Emilio and the Ash, Deity, who's about to come over on the Ace, and then, of course, Resighted on the Blackbeard. For the first mirror window, is a very easy solution for Resighted. He walks up and he cracks the mirror window. He bashes it, so now you can no longer see through it. So that's one mirror window, one of the three angles more or less dealt with. Now they're worried about Fountain. He's going to pull out the goo mine that's been stuck in his foot. And they want to do something with these Fountain players. There's nothing better than forcing someone to move when you're on a Blackbeard and try to run away from you. So he tosses the nade, then he pulls out the gun, and then he gets a huge pick onto BJL, all because he forced him to move with the nade. Then the nade also gets a little bit of a bonus. Not even the player he was shooting at, but he gets a nade kill as well, thanks to that pick onto the Mira. Then off of pure aura, he gets a third kill, which doesn't directly come from him, but instead comes from Legion being blown up by his own Warden's Nitro Cell, which comes purely off the fact that Warden himself, this is Joe again, by the way, the same guy from the last clip, was just terrified of what was going on, and he panic launched a Nitro at the office window, killing his own Legion player. I'm going to count that as a frag for the Blackbeard and say that's a 3K entry to start the round. Beautiful stuff being worked on by Resighted. Emilio and the Ash starts to deal with the rest of these mirror windows, and then with the help of Amonte as well, finds not just one, but eventually the second pick as well to close out this round and have a clean, perfect round for Fluffy Aimers. Okay, for our third round, we're taking you off of border and we're going to Consulate. And while this is not the greatest Blackbeard play of all time, it is my favorite Blackbeard play, and it shows a unique and different way to play Blackbeard that is a little bit different from our first two teams. This is round 4, Core versus Garage Talks. It's a top floor Consulate defense, and the attackers are clearly going for an admin side execute. They've got all their players over towards admin, and there's a bit of a site setup they're going to have to deal with. There's a mirror window that's being held inside a break room. There's some mute jammers, some Goyo canisters back inside of the vending hall, but it's not too tough, and with double shield, both the Blackbeard and the Monty, they do have the tools to deal with this. Notably, the one player not with the team is Blackbeard. He's going to end up being the pinch player in this setup, and he's not actually playing with the team, which is a different playstyle than what we saw from the first two Blackbeard clips. Nitro goes out. Completely misses, although a good attempt. Would have killed Twist if they threw it a little left. And with Ace destroying the mirror window and Amonte getting ready to walk through the site, they're able to clear through the admin hold relatively easily. There's nobody directly holding the hallway either, so they're going to get a lot of this space without too much trouble on the side of core. Inrio setting up some air jabs down on the bottom floor. More Ace charges to get themselves out of break room. With less than 60 seconds left on the round, Thomas starts to go for a big flank, but thankfully they've got the intel. They double swing him with both the Monty and the Striker, and they get a clean pickup. Ace died earlier in the round over towards the vending machine, and so that saves it down to a 4-on-4. Now at 42 seconds, the plant begins. Moses is here planting. Candle is trying to cover from behind, and you've got Inrio at the top of Spiral, and you can see all defenders are focused on this plant. Ozone is getting ready to smoke this plant. Phantom is looking towards Spiral. Mira is looking towards Spiral. Goyo is looking towards the plant. All 4 players left alive on the side of Garage Talks are focused on this plant. But where's Blackbeard? Blackbeard is getting ready to rappel in the CEO window. And he does just that, silent as a mouse, may I tell you. He gets not 1, not 2, and not 3. He does get 2 kills overall. But he distracts every single player on the defense. He forces them all to look at them, and they had no idea he was coming through this way. Again, notably the Blackbeard player not taking a fair fight, not going in for the 1v1, not wanting to have engagements with these players fair where they could shoot him in the head, instead working off the element of surprise, shooting them in the back. He's not using his nades this time. Now instead he's using his rappel in, which is so damn quiet, and nobody's able to hear it. So all 3 players have turned. Even Ozone, the smoke, is now starting to get a little concerned about this Blackbeard that's causing problems. The Toxic Babes didn't deny the plant, so Diffuse Kit went down. And the Blackbeard has single-handedly, from the pinch position, turned this into an unlosable post plant. Candle, in an extremely strong position from this post plant over here, is able to hold the doorway, swing every time somebody goes to sit on the disable. In the meantime, Moses just delays time, gathers intel for his teammates. Inrio is here looking for a pick as well. But Candle cleans up the last one as well. A 3K on the round for him, 2 for the Blackbeard. It's another way to get in without the opponent knowing, find those unfair gunfights, and absolutely dominate. Let's watch this again from the defender POVs, right? The Mira's going to be the first one that gets surprised when the Blackbeard comes in. Goyo actually was the first one that comes out. The Goyo is shooting at Rival, and his head is exposed, but he's panicking because he had no idea the Blackbeard was going to be there. So he genuinely ends up shooting the shield a few too many times, which keeps the Blackbeard alive. Any other operator would have died there. Repass, the same situation. Panics, doesn't know where the Blackbeard's going to be. He fires up a few shots, but some of them go into the shield. The other ones miss, and he ends up dying. Even Phantom, if he would have gone for the shots, is panicking, likely wouldn't have hit the head. The Nitro's the smarter play here, and it does secure the kill. But end of the day, it was just impossible for them to hit the head of the Blackbeard when they got caught so off guard by that rappel in, and ended up winning the round for Quar. And so those are the main rounds I wanted to show you from Blackbeard. I hope that you got something out of that, but it's not all that I have for the match replay files, because I also want to show you a couple of other good rounds, and I want to stick on the shield theme, and I want to show you what is probably my favorite round on Clash that we saw through the entirety of Element 4. So this is going to be on Gym and Bedroom. We've got the #1 team in all of Mexico playing on the defense, and they're playing Gym Bedroom with a Cash extension. Their 2 players, Skimzy and Fatal, are playing over towards Cash, and they're going to start the round here trying to delay as much time as possible playing the Mute and the Clash. They're playing against Outlast here, and Outlast are very used to a setup like this. A Cash extension is not uncommon in Pro Siege, so they've got a lot of tools for the job. They've got some hard breach to start to open up the walls. They've got a Deimos to try to get some picks. They've actually also got the Kali as well, who I think is a really interesting operator. Can use the Lance to start to open up the Jacuzzi wall, and also a really good operator for holding the cutoff on Cash window, which you see a lot of teams doing from this position. Unfortunately, the Kali doesn't really have much impact in this round, so we're not going to talk about it too much. But the focus here is on Fatal and Skimzy, who is the duo that's holding down the Cash side. And I want you to focus on all the little things this Clash is doing. First and foremost, Clash is able to see a drone that's over inside of rafters, and Skimzy's not the one who's going to shoot that drone himself. He doesn't want to ever expose himself. Instead, he just calls over Fatal, who shoots the drone instead. It's good teamwork between both Fatal and Skimzy, and that will be a theme here. And over the next 60 seconds or so, you'll see Skimzy play close on the breach, try to get information for Fatal. A lot of the attackers will be working more towards Jacuzzi and the site. They'll get Con single open. They'll try to work their Deimos in from below. But this duo of Skimzy and Fatal will constantly be gathering information, playing their lives, playing safe, and holding on to this part of the map. Now, with just under 70 seconds left in the round, Skimzy will realize that there is an ace that stepped up on the breach. He sees the Selma getting thrown, and he's going to see Vipoa jump through this breach very, very shortly. Now, Skimzy calls this information to Fatal, but unlike a lot of Clash players who at this point would have their teammate run in behind them and try to make a swing, Fatal is actually nowhere near Skimzy. Skimzy is able to distract and pull the attention away from the ace at the exact same time that Fatal is actually swinging straight out through the cache door, and he finds a completely different angle, giving him a free pick on the Vipoa, who's not looking at him. You see the ping come out, and it's perfect coordination, where it's not one guy swinging behind the Clash, instead it's a distraction play, so somebody can swing from a different direction. Hectic on the Hibana is now the second player who should be trying to work with this ace to clear the cache extension. And Team Cruelty are going to pull the exact same trick they just pulled on the previous player. Skimzy gets the information, he distracts from Con window, so what's Fatal going to do? Is he also going to jump on the Con window and try to get that pick? Absolutely not. He moves to the CC window instead while the Hibana is distracted, and he gets the free pick, making sure that he capitalizes off the distraction that Skimzy has created. Now, this has been an excellent roam coming out from both Skimzy and Fatal. Unfortunately, all of their anchors have died. Ivan, Pyrox, and Matumbo all ended up dying on site, and they only got one kill. That was onto the Collie while all of that distraction was going down, meaning that it's now a 2v2. Fatal and Skimzy have to retreat back to site. They're holding on to construction. They've got Skimzy instead of Master, whereas Zonky and Domi are on the main stairs. They've just walked up and killed the castle. Now, in this 2v2, the attackers obviously want to hunt down the Mute. If they can eliminate Mute in the 2v2, then they can go for a bit of a plant, and they can get a pinch onto Skimzy where he's not going to be able to do much left on the Clash. Now, Fatal's very aware of this. So what is Fatal going to do? He's going to let Skimzy go forward, get all the information that he can, and Fatal's going to play this as passive as possible. He doesn't want to be too far in the action. He's not trying to bait, but he does not want to swing. He does not want to get into a gunfight. And as he gets tracked by the Deimos, he extra special does not want to swing this. Never once does he peek that doorway. Now, Zonky, with that information from the Deimos, is going to be able to find a frag. And this is the most dangerous part of the round for Team Cruelty, because he'll get a shot to kill Fatal without Skimzy having any influence on this fight. Thankfully for Fatal, he whiffs every single shot. That was the one moment where things could have fallen apart for Team Cruelty, but they didn't. And with the play of hunting down the Mute while the Clash was distracted, well, that play didn't end up working. That's going to prompt them to go for their backup plan. Outlast are going to get into a plant position, and they're going to have Domi hold that plant with his dear life. Notice again, through all this time, Skimzy's just sitting in sight, getting intel. Fatal's playing passive. Zonky's going to get up and go for the plant, and Domi is holding the one angle because they know exactly where that Mute is. But just as the plant goes down, what does the Clash do? Skimzy on the Clash takes this exact moment to step in front of of Domi, allowing the other player to rotate out, and Fatal gets the kill. The whole time, the cover is not able to do anything because Clash gets in his face. 10 seconds left. Now with 8 seconds, Domi is just in an unwinnable situation. The 1v2 against the Clash, and Fatal with a shotgun finds the final frag as well. Perfect coordination. I think the best Clash round that we saw in all of Element 4 from start to finish. Really good teamwork from the duo of both Fatal and Skimzy, the #1 team in Mexico to win this round on Clubhouse. They just played it expertly from start to finish. Chat, in this next clip, instead of showing you how to play certain shield operators, I'm going to show you how to beat certain shield operators. You probably know that in the last update, Monty got nerfed. Now, Monty's way weaker in 1v1s, and this round between Wildcard Aces and Fluffy Aimers showcases exactly how you should be playing against a Monty player if you find yourself in a Monty 1v1. To start with, this is a T-Room karaoke defense being held by wildcard aces. You can see they're not really holding off his exhibition. They're not really roaming in towards Dragon. Instead, everybody's more towards the site with a couple players down below. The fire has started to be popped, and this over clear has started from Fluffy Aimers, with Monty at the tip of the spear, working his way through this side of the map. Now, our hero for this part of the story is going to be Xer, and Xer's going to start by getting the opening pick in this match. Xer, knowing that the Monty is on the other side of the map, goes for a beauty swing and grabs the opening pick, taking down Kiru to give his team a 5v4. Monty's been over towards Drum, he's been over towards Shrine, and so now it's his time to start making some space. Again, the Goyo canister was popped a long time ago. So as JJ Blast gets inside of Drum, he makes his way forward. And at about a minute 25, Kronk, who's playing on this Fenrir, sees, I think he just saw him before this, sees or hears the Monty. That's going to prompt Aimkey, who is down on the Valkyrie, down below, to try to use that Nitro with knowledge that they're inside a Drum. And he gets a great pick onto the Flores, managing to equalize the man count now, or even give his team a wider advantage at the 5v3. Now JJ knows he's got to do something drastic. So as he moves over towards the site, he sees a Melusi inside the bomb site, and maybe forgetting that Monty got nerfed, he gets it in his head that it is his mission to kill Xer playing on the Melusi. Xer realizes the Monty is coming at him, and he's going to be in a 1v1 situation up against JJ Blast playing the shield operator. Now, critically, this is a 1v1. It's not exactly a 1v1 in terms of player count, but his team can isolate this pick. Resighted cannot walk in and get a swing onto Xer the same way Monty did, because he doesn't have a shield, and there are defenders that are going to be holding this. At the same time, the other attacker is miles away, so there's no other attacker that can really fight Xer in this situation. At the same time, Xer's teammates just frankly aren't going to be that helpful here. They probably could go for a swing and kill the Monty, but they don't. They're a little bit more distracted with Resighted and with the ace that's over by Geisha. So this is, in effect, a 1v1 between Xer and JJ Blast, and Xer plays this 1v1 perfectly. To start things off, both players go for a melee. You can see both of them actually hit. Xer gets bashed down to the ground and gets thrown to the corner. Meanwhile, the melee also connected onto the Monty, and so JJ Blast ends up being forced back, not in a position where he can actually shoot his gun, and his shield exposes his body a little bit. Then they both go to melee once again. But thanks to the melee priority, Xer's melee will come out on top. He is no longer being bashed, and the Monty himself can't do much except for position his body to try to protect himself. He still cannot shoot, nor can he melee. In the break animation, Xer will be hip firing now to try to find a pick. Unfortunately, the hip firing doesn't work, so we go for melee round 3. And in the third round of meleeing, Xer will finally find his target. After 3 melee interactions, not once is Xer ever in a position where he's going to take any damage, and by the third time, he gets lucky to find the head and shut down the Monty. Too often, I see young new players look at a Monty and run away. They get terrified. But if you know it's a 1v1, take the melee battle, because you're always going to come out with the W. Since the new update, Monty is no longer able to body players when they're in that 1v1. The last clip I want to show you is not technically a shield clip. I mean, Scopous is a shield, right? So I'm going to count that. Too bad if you don't like it. I thought this round was so ridiculous, and the play was so unique and cool that I just wanted to show you it, even if it isn't really a shield play in the same way the last couple of rounds were. So this is Outlast versus Team Cruelty, 2 teams that we've been looking at throughout the day so far, that we've been looking at their replays since the start of the video, and it's going to be a Nighthaven top floor defense. Relatively standard stuff. You've got a Kaid, you're trying to hold down IT, you've got mirror windows in the site, with the one exception of Zonky, who's playing on the Scopous, and as we speak, is shifting, setting up one of his clones right here in the garage entrance, and is shifting back to site, where he will then step up and play from at the start of the round. But I don't want to focus on the Scopous right at the start. Instead, I want to focus on the Brava. At the start of the round, Matumbo throws out his Brava drone, and knowing that there's a lot of Surya gates up and around this part of the map, he's going to start to deal with them. There's one Surya gate that's here top Aqua, and he hacks that successfully. The second Surya Gate is on the garage window, and he'll hack that successfully. And then since he's here, he says, why not? Let me hack the default cam as well, which on his second jump, he hacks. So immediately he gets all 3 hacks out of the way with his Brava drone. That's excellent. Then he drones in through garage entrance, and for the first time all around, realizes there's a Scopous here. Now, he's taking his time. He's trying to hack this. I think he might have forgotten that he's out of hacks. He already used all 3 of them up above, so he's going to have to throw out his new drone. So he tosses out his drone, and you may be thinking, through this whole time, where is Zonky? Because as you can see in the bottom right, the camera is active. The Scopous cam is on. There's a defender who's watching this. Dami is aware of all of these Bravo drones that are coming through. So where is Zonky in all of this? Zonky's over by cargo. And Zonky, with the impact, baits his own Scopous clone, jumps out, and is able to shoot at the Brava. So he kind of misses his shot, but the idea to literally bait your own Scopous clone and then try to make a jump out of it is insane, and I gotta respect the idea coming out from Zonky. I gotta respect that creativity. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite hit enough shots. Mutombo does get away, and Pyrox is in the area to come through and pick up his teammate. Zonky's not able to reaggress and punish this. He could have, in theory, swapped back to this body and gone for a swing, but that might have been a little bit too big brain for him. He just quite couldn't have that, as he was kind of in a panicking state at this point. So now, finally, Brava is able to hack the Scopous drone and go back on their merry way. Later into this round, now both players are independently going to get into gunfights. Mutombo is swinging the opened ace charge here on Rafters and is about to find Vipoa. Meanwhile, Zonky is flanked up through Meeting Hall and is about to find the back of Ivan. Mutombo hits his shot. Beautifully done. Zonky made way too much noise sprinting through the hallway and gets owned. From there, the rest of the push comes out from Team Cruelty. They've got 3 players that are over towards IT and Rafters, 2 players that are over towards Connector and Electrical. They've only got 3 anchors inside the site to find. So they trade out. They make their way in. Rai goes 1 for 1, trading out his dead teammate. Gets another, actually. But then finished off by Pyrox in the 1v2. Hectic makes the move. Does kill the cover, but Pyrox finishes off with the final trade. If only they had 1 player dead. If only they'd be able to get that earlier pick onto Mutombo. Cool strategy, cool idea from Zonky, but just never really manages to find the success. So chat, those are the clips I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed some of the most creative and some of the best plays, both with and without shields, going on through Element 4. The Element 4 playoffs will continue January, so stick around because we're going to have more videos breaking down even more rounds in the new year. I hope that you enjoyed, and happy holidays.